Hello and welcome back to the Clock End Taproom. I think this is episode 5 now. But yeah, we're flying along. And joining me, as always, we've got Fize. How are you, mate?
All right, lads.
Hi, Paul.
And Nathan, you all right?
Very, very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit hot.
All good, mate.
Oh, it's grim, innit? It's awful.
Bit of a heat wave, but
Proper British, aren't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a bit off topic of what we were about to do, but Ross, who both me and Nathan know, today did a hell of a golf challenge for like prostate cancer. He did 100 holes today in this heat. So yeah, shout out to Ross. You know.
Absolutely.
Ross Bell __ I believe his thing. Go and sponsor him or something because yeah, for
That's insane.
He's out there today, so absolutely dreadful. What a terrible day to do it. Yeah, 100 holes of golf. But yeah, we'll move on to the actual good stuff. The podcast. Today we're going to look at the World Cup. So we're going to do every Tuesday for most of the summer. That's how long this World Cup's going to go on for, isn't it? But yeah, we'll get into our opening question of the week. Fize, I think you annoyed American fans the other week when you were talking about the stadium, so we might as well go for it again. What are the best and worst things the Americans have brought to football? Let's start with the bad stuff, shall we?
Bad stuff. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, where'd you start apart from the fact that they don't know what it's called? It's not called soccer. No. I mean the whole world calls it football. So just and this is from the country that if you win stuff in America, you're suddenly the world champions. But yeah, that aside, I'm sure that's going to make a few people happy. But that aside, I think I mentioned it to you guys a bit earlier. No one puts on a show like the Americans. No one. And I don't know what it is. I mean, you guys might know, listeners might know a bit more about it, but genuinely, I grew up in the 80s, right? So America was just this land of wonder. And like since then, if a show was to be put on, whether it was a concert or anything like that at all, or any kind of public event, the Americans just dominate that with everything. And to be honest with you, I've got to say fair play to them. The World Cup, once the World Cup, the football starts, a lot of the stuff sort of dissipates, right? A lot of the narratives. What did I hear? They were going to have ice outside the stadiums, waiting for like fans and players and cleanup staff. None of it happened. And actually, do you know what? It's been really good. I'm delighted that I haven't seen anyone cooking hot dogs by the side of the stand or behind the goal or something like that, or I haven't seen a hat with 2 beer cans on it yet. So fair play to them. And their team's doing well, which is always good for a host nation, right? So
definitely, yeah.
I've got to say, it's been really good. And in fact, everyone talked about Trump, rightfully so, and I'm sure that's a fun subject to get into at some point. But Mamdani's been really good. I've been really impressed with how he's kind of, because New York City, there was this whole thing about they were going to charge a lot to travel to games and things like that, and he's been really good. I mean, it helped that I think it's the Knicks that won the the championship, right? So that helps because the city's in a brilliant mood. But no, do you know what, lads? I think it's been really good. And fair play to them. Now, but yeah, there is Alexi Lalas or whatever his name is, and I think they've done that on purpose. I can't believe that man is important anywhere with anything. But they've got him on. I think it's a humiliation ritual, man. I think they've got him on with Henry and Ibrahimovic just to kind of like, yeah, all right. And they just laugh at him, don't they, the whole time?
Pretty much every clip you see of it is them just essentially bullying him.
They done kick-ups the other day in the studio, and he just kind of walked off while they were doing the whole kind of Nike advert together.
Which Thierry Henry actually did him, didn't he? And then he just wasn't in any more of the clips on there.
Yeah, so that was so it's become a bit of a thing, but like it wouldn't be America if they weren't telling you how to do something better. And it's like, lads, it's fine. We have plenty of World Cups around the world. We don't have the host nation suddenly telling us that the game isn't done right, or suddenly we're really important to the game. No, it's a community thing, lads. Get over it. But yeah, good old Americans telling us how we should do things better. You know, slying in quarters, calling them hydration breaks. You know, so we can have a word with their sponsors. But yeah, I must say it's been good. The product's been brilliant.
Definitely has.
But again, don't you think though, lads, that hydration break just completely ruins any momentum in the game?
I think it's fine if it was what it was. You know, like if it's it's boiling hot, just have a quick
30 seconds
breather. But yeah, everyone gets a drink because when it sort of happens when someone has an injury and stuff. Anyway, it's not like it's some crazy thing where players go off to the side and have a drink and all that. It is just where it's so obviously so they can sell ads. It's never been more blatant what it's about, and that's what sort of like makes it a bit of a struggle, isn't it? Like you could easily do that whole thing in half the time or less, and no one would
how many drinks
care
do you need?
too much. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just so obviously it's so FIFA, isn't it? It's I don't know how else to describe it, but just so FIFA.
Yeah, and all the lads over there sort of like. They're sort of like cavemen who've discovered fire. Oh, look at these supermarkets. Like, oh, look, you know, this is so amazing. So many different Pringles flavors. Like,
people are making a fortune off impressions of just pretending like to be shocked that portions are big or, you know, like the Fanta's different or something. It's
it's been, just cringeworthy. But do you know what? Honestly, I know you and I spoke about Dave a bit earlier. The final should be on the White House lawn. It should be on the White House lawn. Trump has missed a trick. Infantino has forgotten his modus operandi. It should be on the White House lawn. Alligators either side. Alligators either side. First one to die loses.
Well, that's just how they decide who kicks off. You know, like,
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, somehow swing it for Iran to get into the final against America. Just settle everything there, mate. Let's have it.
If I know Trump, it's like not a 0% chance that it still happens on the White House lawn. You know, there's still a chance he'll make it.
Evil Knievel jumping over. Yeah, fantastic, wasn't it?
That's how they deliver the ball in. Like, you know, it's, instead of kickoff, they do that. He drops the ball like we're playing hot table football. You know, just dropping it in the middle there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's been good.
What about you, Nath? What are your best or worst bits about? I
feel like you're saying about the hydration breaks. It's like you say, it's clearly for advertising, isn't it? You know, I mean, there's been a lot of noise about player welfare and how many games players are being made to play. This, I think, obviously this season is a classic example. You know, I think you look at our players in particular, Rice and Saka and Eze, Madueke. You know, we played the Champions League final and, you know, had the parade, and then they were flying out the week after to get into the training camp and all that kind of stuff. You know, Saka and Rice carrying injuries. So the hydration break, I'm kind of with you, Dave. Like, yeah, I get it. I understand it. It's absolutely boiling hot out there. So rightly so, let them stop and have a quick break. But when they start advertising it, it's like, well, you're taking it away really there, right? You turn it into something massively negative, and then, you know, you talk about the momentum killer and things like that. But I suppose some teams will relish it if they're on the receiving end of that momentum at the time.
Yeah,
that break could be, you know, exactly what's needed. I can't think of an example at the moment, you know, from games that I've seen, but, you know, that could really sort of like be what's needed. And some teams might be leaning into that maybe after the first game and think, well, do you know what? If we can just get, you know, especially some of these, it feels a bit condescending to say, but some of these smaller nations might be thinking, right, if we can just get to the first hydration break, you know, that can be our first point, you know, and then it's like, right, if we can just get to half time, if we can just get to the, you know, and it breaks it down, doesn't it? It makes it a bit more achievable. But yeah, like you said, Fize, you know, in terms of the product, it's everything that we kind of knew and hoped it would be from the American side, you know, very dramatized, you know. I actually like that the full squad gets to go on the pitch for the national anthem, and they all, you know, they all get to go around. I like that, you know, the team element of that. I think that's quite a good idea.
because when they said they were going to do that, it did sound like nonsense to me. But it's actually fair. It's actually been all right. But
I think well, how many players go to the World Cup and just literally sit on that bench, don't even make it over the touchline? Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. You know, they're in the stadium, but to be in the middle of it, to get onto the pitch, even if it's just for the anthem, you know, you can soak it up a little bit more, I would imagine. So I quite like that. But yeah, it literally all comes back to soccer and football, doesn't it? You know, the biggest sport in America is called football, and only one player can use his foot. Well,
yeah,
make it make sense. Make it make sense, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we can't call football. We have to call football soccer. Like, behave yourself. And I think the other thing that's annoying me as well a little bit is there's 3 host countries. That seems to be getting lost as well. That there's actually 3 host nations this year. You know, nothing's really been being said about Mexico or Canada. And to be fair, for me, don't get me wrong, the stadiums in America are fantastic, and we were all a bit unsure about how NFL stadiums would come across as football stadiums. And I think it's worked. I think it has worked.
They picked a good bunch of them as well. Like
they have. They've picked some really good ones. But for me, none of them beat the Azteca. I don't know whether it was just because it was the first game of the World Cup and I was a bit wrapped up in like, oh, it's World Cup, you know. But that first game, where it was Mexico versus South Africa, and it showed the Azteca in all its glory, I was like, Jesus, that's got to go on the visit list.
That's a beauty.
You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. And it got me thinking, is it because it's a proper football stadium? Take nothing away from the American stadiums. Like I said, they're fantastic, but is there just something about a football stadium that's I don't know. I'm getting a bit lost with what I'm trying to say, but is it because it's more authentic? I don't know. But yeah,
no, you make a fair point.
Yeah, let's remember that, you know, the Canadians and the Mexicans are also, you know, feeding into that product that's coming across really, really well.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll do mine quickly then.
Yeah, go on.
There you go.
No, I was just going to say that we might have that issue with the next World Cup, because I believe Morocco and Spain are arguing over who gets the final.
Yeah.
I think I read that somewhere today.
Yeah. I think FIFA seem to be all for this split sort of dual, you know, running of the tournament, don't they? So,
well, the next one there's games in Uruguay, Paraguay, and somewhere else as well for like the centenary of like or something. So I think isn't it technically like 6 host nations or something like that? Like,
it's something ridiculous.
And they're all qualifying automatically as well, which is bizarre.
It is. Yeah. It's like I can't remember which one of you said it before. It's FIFA being FIFA, isn't it? They're just taking away from what it is and trying to, you know, commercialize it and, you know, try and make it, you know, something grandiose. And it's like, guys, just leave it. It's the Football World Cup. It does not get bigger than that. You don't need to sell this. It sells itself.
Yeah. That's spot on. So what did you think, Dave?
Well, mine is sort of the same thing in a way, because I think the thing I like about it is how Americans are just so positive every 4 years that their team is incredible. You know, that positivity that they have, like, no matter what happens and no matter what their team looks like, that they are the best team in the world because they've won a couple of games here or there, is incredible. Like, I genuinely think a lot of Americans are like stunned that Christian Pulisic isn't winning a Ballon d'Or every year, because the way they talk about him is like he is the best player in the world, or, you know, Balogun like is going to be favourite for it this year coming. And I think they genuinely think they can win the World Cup this year. And I do actually really love that. But also, it is the conversation that happens every 4 years as well, that if all their like NBA stars or NFL players decided to play football, they'd just win the World Cup anyway. Like how many 6'9" players like LeBron James you see dominating football? There's not many, is there, out there? You know, he's that conversation does my head in every single time. That, you know, if they just concentrated on football, then, you know, they'd dominate the sport. It's just a load of nonsense. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure if it was more of a bigger thing, you know, in there. So, but it's not that they don't play football growing up. Like, so many of their kids seem to play football growing up, and then you know, they grow into other sports. But it's not like it's not a sport there. And they make it like, if all their, like, you know, their star athletes decided to play football, then they're just dominating it. Oh, I hate that conversation every single time it happens, because it's such a load of bollocks. You know, say like LeBron James or, you know, whoever else. It's just bullshit, really. But but I do love how positive they are. That this time they are going to win the World Cup, and just because they've beaten a couple of like all right teams.
Well, here's a question for
you. They have
you.
looked good in fairness to them, but yeah, no,
they have looked good. But a question on the back of that then is, based on another clip that we did about English fans maybe being a little bit arrogant and a little bit sort of patronising to other teams because of certain successes and what have you. If America had the same success as England, would we then be kicking off with the Americans saying that they're arrogant for saying things like we're going to win the World Cup just because we beat a couple of teams? Would that be, or is it just because that it's England, so we have to jump on England? You know, a bit like, you know, everyone's got it in for Arsenal because we're Arsenal. You know, we don't necessarily have to do anything wrong. We just love to be hated on. Would that be the same conversation? We're coming across as it's a fun thing that the American fans are doing. You know, we're looking at it in like a, you know what, it's a really good positive attitude to have, and we're quite like that. But if they'd had any sort of success, would we still be saying it in the same sort of context?
I think in some ways the England stuff is a bit, you know, misread by people. Like, you know, it's coming home and all that stuff. Well, that song that it all comes from, it's sort of taking the piss out of England for being a bit shit. You know, it's not like,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You know, it's not like that song is actually like, yeah, it's not like Glory, Glory England sort of thing. That is like a, you know,
it's a miserable song.
Shit, yeah. But it all comes from that, like, and I think people sort of misread that, and you know, it's a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of a taking a piss at yourself sort of thing. It's coming home, really, isn't it? So I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people do misread it, England fans, a little bit, but yeah, I do think you're right though. I think people just expect it from Americans, don't they? Like if they're not shouting USA, then something's gone wrong, hasn't it? It's you know, it's just the American way, really.
I do enjoy, lads, being someone who's become more patriotic recently. I do genuinely enjoy the fact that America are shit at something, and that we are light years ahead of them. They're never going to be as good as us. Never. You argue with me if you like. I mean, they're just never going to. They're never going to be as good as us because, you know, the argument about population and funding and stuff. Well, China is shit. India, I'm not even sure have a team. Their populations are bigger than the US. They're not poor anymore.
I see where you're coming from. I would never say never, but I think if anyone could do it and shift their ass into gear, and they're kind of trying the hardest at the moment, it would be America. You know, they're doing the right things. They're putting the money into it. They're trying to grow the league. You know, they're doing a lot of focus on homegrown talent as well, which is something that, you know, might be worth looking at. You know, I kind of really like the idea of the draft as well, in terms of youth development and bringing players through. Now, I know there's pros and cons to it, but I just think that it's so diluted over here, you know. And to be fair, we're the masters of our own downfall, aren't we? Because we've got the UK tax. You know, if there's ever a good England player, whether he's 12 or 32, 33, you've got to pay 20 million English tax before you even look at what the value of the player actually is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've created that monster, you know, and that's why these young lads, there's so much pressure on young sort of 16, 17, 18-year-olds coming through, because the transfer value is enormous at such a young age just because they're English and they're talented. That's a huge amount of pressure. Whereas if you had sort of like a draft system and you sort of flooded the market almost a little bit and put them in there, I think it'd just give them a bit of chance and take the pressure off a little bit and just be like, you know, go and play, go and earn your stripes. You know, obviously the top, you know, few kids or whatever will get the big moves like they do over in America, and then, you know, make you into the league that way. But I just think that, you know, over here, the English tax thing is a joke. And, you know, you think of someone like, I'll use Max Diamond as an example, you know, because he's fresh this season. Or you know, if we don't want to do an Arsenal perspective, what's the lad at Liverpool called Rio? What's his face? How much are those two players going to be worth now? You know, we're Arsenal fans. How much would we sell Max Diamond for right now? What, 50, 60 million?
I think it'd be more than that, to be honest, if he went, which is mad.
Yeah, and that is not an Arsenal fan being arrogant. That is the market that's dictating that price. Look at some of the prices at the minute for like Elliot Anderson. I think he's a phenomenal player. I really do. I genuinely think he's a very, very good player. Do I think he's worth more than Declan Rice? No, I don't. No, I don't.
No.
I don't think he's worth more than Bruno Fernandes. And I hate Bruno Fernandes. I cannot stand him. I think he's overrated. But I still think that Elliot Anderson isn't worth 120 million or whatever is being quoted. But he's English and he's very, very, very good. And you just start to think to yourself, have the Americans got something right? You know, in terms of bringing young players through, taking the pressure off. You know, there's a draft, there's no fees involved. There probably is behind the scenes, and you know, there's probably clubs saying like, "I'll move up in the draft, I'll pay you $5 million to take your spot, whatever." But you know, maybe there's something from sort of like a youth development side that we could pick up from them.
It would just never work here because of like their college system and stuff. You know, college is
the
professional sport in a lot of you know. Like...
Well, that's the other thing that you can link it to. You look at grassroots over here, and it's not the best, really. You know, it's very broken. It's very localized. It's very not broken as in it doesn't work, but broken as in like there's lots of bits to it. You know, it's very sort of like chopped up all over the place. And the route is for like what 1% of kids that are playing grassroots football. I just think we should be plowing so much more money into grassroots, making these avenues better, you know, easier, you know, so more kids can get involved and stuff like that. So maybe looking at that collegiate system in America as sort of like the next tier down, and then building your whole grassroots up from that, you know, take it into schools. You know, we were talking the other night about Friday Night Lights, which is based on high school football. You know, high school football over there gets more fans than some championship teams. It's that big of a thing. Do you know what I mean? So could we, you know, could we use that? Could we build that? You know, there's definitely something. I think it's
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Honestly, with you, I've never thought of it in that way. Which is why I'm surprisingly quiet. But there is definitely some stuff we can learn. I mean, the whole, you know, look, we're owned by Americans. I think more than half the clubs in the Premier League are owned by Americans, sports franchise people, not sort of, you know, just rich guys buying clubs, right? These are professional club owners. They own multi-clubs and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's there's definitely an Americanization of the game over here, even down to sort of like the micromanaging of stuff, set pieces, stuff like that. I'm a firm believer this is all Americanizing of our sports. Like the way they look at sort of micro data within games and try to manage smaller, more granular situations. I do think that's one of those things where, you know, that's part of the Americanization of our sport. But the draft thing, I don't know. Look, I've got a bit of a different opinion. I think we're phenomenal as a country in producing sports people. We're tiny, mate. You know, we are not even comparable to a state in America in terms of size, and they've got 50 odd. We're not comparable to Germany or France, and we punch well above our weight. I suppose really, you know, when it comes to sort of like the transfer value of, I know it's kind of off topic, but since Nathan mentioned it, but I suppose really when we look at players, we think of their ability. And if you look at it that way, then no one's really 100 million quid. Not if Zidane went for 50. But then you've got to look at stuff like what the money's worth now compared to what it was before. And more so, I think Man City, and I had this argument years ago with Pogba, when Man United sold him or got rid of him for nothing and then bought him back for like 90 million quid. And I said, Man United will make that back in China, just selling shirts, just merchandise for Pogba. So really, if you've got an English talent and someone says, pay me 80 million quid for him, you'll be like, okay, well, we'll sell that. We'll merchandise on the back of that and we'll make 30, 40, 50 million quid off of it. Just one player's shirt. So, you know, there's an argument there. But I mean, again, it all kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier that, you know, I think the American influence in our sport has been huge and irreversible. I don't think that genie goes back in the bottle again. I think that's here to stay. I don't know. Do Americans really invest in football clubs outside of the UK? Is it? Are you guys aware of any Americans?
To be honest, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, because
I think Germany and stuff, like the ownership models are all different, aren't they? And things.
Yeah,
that's true. But I'm thinking Italy is kind of dominated by Chinese investors. I think.
Yeah. None that I particularly know of, but sure somewhere along the line, there's some.
I think the owner of Palace owned a French club or something like that.
Chelsea. I was going to say
because stuff.
And Chelsea obviously got Strasbourg, right?
I think one of the other things as well is going back to like the English tax thing, and this is the last thing I'll say on it because we're eating in a bit, aren't we? But one thing that comes back to my mind that I always use about the English tax argument, because I have this argument with my dad, and he's like, "Why is there no English players?" Blah blah blah. I said, "Look, if they're good enough, they'll play." I said, "But the struggle that they're up against is look at Nicholas Anelka. Look at Nicholas Anelka, right? We signed him for what? £500,000?
Yeah,
something like that." And we sold him for 21, 22 million, whatever it was, not that long after, right?
Yep.
We'd have to spend the money that we made on Anelka to get Nicholas Anelka, the English version.
Yeah.
Before you sell him on. Do you know what I mean? Now, you can argue that you'd make the same amount or you'd make more money or whatever, but that's what I'm saying about the English tax is, you can go and sign Max Dowman for 60, 70, 80 million pounds, whatever it's going to be, or you can go and find the French, German, Dutch, Senegalese, Ghanaian, anyone. You can go and find any other country's version of Max Dowman, like literally model for model. It's the same player, the same stats, right? You're getting the one not from England for tens of millions cheaper. And that's what clubs are going to do. Clubs are going to go, there's two players who are exactly the same. I can sign one for 60 to 70 million, or I can sign one for 10 to 20 million.
Well, it's more that you can sign 3 of them, can't you? You're 3 or 4
That's what I mean.
of those.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
exactly.
Look, law of averages.
So yeah, I just think in this country we shoot ourselves in the foot. Another good one was when Connor Wickham signed for, I think it was like 17 or 18 million from the Championship, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what is all that about? Like, all right, he was in good form in the Championship, but he wasn't a Premier League player, and we quickly discovered that as well. No offense to Connor Wickham, but at the time, I remember that deal going through, just thinking, nah, market's gone.
I feel like we could do a whole show on.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good.
That was interesting, mate.
Never a bad thing to be just chatting away, but I feel like we could do a whole probably series of that, couldn't we? The English transfers and some of the weird ones over the years. Cause
we've literally just created a new podcast off Question of the Day, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Well, that's it for this episode then. See you next time. Right, well, we'll move on then. We'll move on to the actual World Cup. Let's start with England. We'll do a quick look back at England, Croatia. It's about a week ago now, so we won't dwell on it for too long. But Nathan, what are your sort of quick thoughts on that?
Quick thoughts. Defending was suspect. Jordan Pickford was terrible. One of the worst games I've ever seen him have in an England shirt. Harry Kane looked bang up for it. Madueke was our best player in the first half, which I was very shocked at. But we looked entertaining. First time I've watched England and thought, do you know what? I quite enjoyed that. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. If we're going to do the whole, you score 1, we'll score 2, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, can we just start on Pickford quick there? Like, how has it just been accepted that he is our number one keeper? Like, he might be the number one. I'm not saying he's not. But how has it just been accepted that there's not any sort of like challenge to him? Because I swear he's not that good. Like, I don't know why. It's been accepted that he's our number one keeper, and there's no challenge to that because I swear he just does so much stuff that a good keeper just shouldn't ever do. Like they dive with the wrong hand and things like that. Like I don't get him, and we
there was a
short arms if you want to, but it's
he is got short arms. I watched it with an Everton fan, mate of mine, and there was a moment, I think we were 3-2 up, and he had the ball at his feet, and he just started shuffling it under his foot whilst the player was running towards him. And he just made the pass that he was always going to make really difficult for himself.
Yeah.
And I just looked at my mate because he argued with me because I said that one of the equalizers was Pickford's fault because he's just got. I said, "Oh look, short hands again," because he was like just that much short from actually getting the ball.
Yeah.
So obviously my mate's not happy. That's for him. Jordan Pickford's one of those things that he's one of the few things that he's pleasantly happy. It makes him happy anyway. So when I pointed out, I said, "Look what he's doing," and he was just shuffling the ball for no reason, just inviting pressure. And I thought, Jordan Pickford, you do not have those levels, mate, where you think this is easy for you now. You've just invited pressure. You better get this right. And he just about did. And it's just unnecessary. And like you said, he is not great. But I just think there's a dearth of good English goalkeepers, mate. And he's the best of a bad bunch, unfortunately. Used to be something like England had some of the best goalkeepers in the world, but as soon as they said start playing with your feet,
yeah,
maybe Guardiola's a bit to blame for that. Just branding Joe Hart, who was a good goalkeeper, and just branded him now as useless, can't play with his feet. And now who else have we got? Like what? Nick Pope, that's one. Same thing as same. What's the difference between him and Pickford? Nothing. We all hoped Ramsdale would do it. Until he went on a podcast and told everyone that he can't concentrate for 90 minutes, and that was the end of his. That was the end of his.
Still can't believe he said that. Like, to this day, I still can't believe he said that.
And Arteta's watching. Someone's told him. Yeah, and then you've had like 4 brain farts at the end of the season. You're done for, mate. Yeah. You're done for. All that credit gone. And he said it to Ian Wright. I'm pretty sure he said it to Ian Wright. I was just like, mate, what you do? And it's been bad for him since. So yeah, I'm just not really sure we have the goalkeepers. So,
yeah, we'll move on.
Just stick
anyway.
with him. But I thought we were good. To answer the question, I thought we were good. That'll do.
Yeah, I think you saw at half time the difference of having a proper football manager in there. To be honest, compared to Southgate. I know people like Southgate and all of that, but to me, he was sort of like, almost like. Entertainment officer at uni or whatever. He was organising Ed Sheeran playing in the training camp, keeping everyone happy, like that sort of thing. But when it comes to the actual management, he really did lack. And don't get me wrong, I think what he did on that side of things was incredible. Them England squads were more together than we've ever seen an England squad. But I think you saw in the end like the difference having a proper manager in there. Like half time on was it Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever we played now. That team came out and they were a different team after half time, weren't they? Compared to, it was sloppy. They played all right first half, but it was a little bit sloppy and stuff. And then second half, they came out and they just looked a different level.
And I think that we've got to remember we didn't start all of our best players. So there is that as well,
I was a big fan of the assistant manager being interviewed and did everything apart from say we were shit. He just wanted to say that, didn't he? You could see it was written all over his face. The words that he was saying, he was basically saying to us in the most polite, technical way possible, that was dog shit. I love that. That was one of the best interviews I've seen.
Yeah.
Because they scored a good couple of goals, don't get me wrong, but like they were just sloppy defending, weren't they? And like I said, they were good goals, but they were preventable, I think, despite some good stuff from Croatia.
And Croatia are good. They're not shit.
Yeah.
Like they've always been good. And like some of those lads that play for them, Modric aside, we won't know them, and then they'll pop up in European football at some point. Someone will play them in the UEFA Cup, or someone will play them in the Champions League, and they'll play for you just have no idea. Oh, really? You play for Croatia? Wow, good player.
I was delighted when Baturina scored for Croatia because I was like, I sign him all the time, Football Manager. He's class.
Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah.
Them football manager players, you'll always have like a strong thing for them. Like I remember like Balotelli when he signed for City. I still loved him because he used to always sign him on Football Manager, and he was like, I think he had like 19 free kicks or something. So he just banging free kicks every game. It was incredible. So I'll always love him. But yeah. Well, let's look at some of the Arsenal players in the England team because it's come out that I think it had already come out when we spoke last week that Rice had been carrying a back injury. And now it looks like he's got something up with his hamstring as well. That Saliba, Saka still can't play a full game, it looks like. And I know it's off England topic, but is this just one of them things that comes from how Arteta manages his team? Are we seeing these players there? Is this going to be a long-term issue for them, do you think?
It's definitely a worry, isn't it? I mean, if I was putting my arrogant, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that head on, it kind of takes the piss out of the rest of the league even more. The fact that we stumbled over the line to win the league, despite everyone not wanting us to, and now we find out that half the players were like literally hobbling in most of the
injections just to get through games in the end.
Literally, yeah. So, but no, I think you're right. I think there's something in the Arteta thing, or maybe it's like a coaching thing as well. Obviously Arteta oversees it, but maybe there's something that needs looking into. And maybe our training methods, maybe we need to be a bit less intense and things like that. But I think for me, and this might be unpopular, the more seasons that we have in England, the more I'm starting to jump on the winter break bandwagon.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
You look at this season, and it's not just Arsenal players. The City lads had a long season. The Villa lads got all the way to the final. Crystal Palace got all the way to their final as well in Europe. The amount of games that we're playing in England is just insane. And then you think about the World Cup. We touched on it before, didn't we? Saying our lads had a week off and then they were back straight onto the training pitch. And then, when the World Cup ends, you've got about 4 weeks. It's not enough, is it? You're going to have guys going straight back into training camps again. They're just not going to get a break. It's and people going about, but they paid this, that, and the other, and they're living the dream. Yeah, fair enough. But there's always been sort of like a set where you get a break at some point, and when there isn't any, this is going to happen all over the place. So I don't even think it's just an Arsenal issue. I think this is a problem that we've got in England.
Yeah, definitely.
We've just fired our doctor, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just not kind of trying to Sherlock Holmes the whole thing, but just thinking, does Arteta actually think that he's overplaying them, or does he think that they're just not recovering properly, or that we could do a better job of their recovery?
Or even he was given bad advice, that they were okay to play, or so maybe, There's,
yeah.
But I agree with Nathan. I think the more you increase these games, the more you increase the amount of games they play, you've got to have the equivalent amount of break. Otherwise, it's pointless. But I don't know. I think it's worrying from an Arsenal perspective. Next year, I think some of it's to do with the fact that if you sign someone for 100 million quid, for example, or you've got Saliba, Gabriel, who in their own rights are, or maybe almost 100 million pound players themselves, Saka, I think you can't go and sign their replacement for 100 million quid and they get to be happy playing second fiddle to someone else, if you know what I mean. So there is going to be, because there's so many important games towards the end of the season, I think you're just going to find burnout naturally at that part of the season. Yeah. And because we didn't run away with any league title, because we were in the Champions League and we played some really hard games, I just think it's quite normal for them to have that kind of level of burnout. But there is definitely something to do with us as well. I think we're definitely overplaying them. We've spoken about this before, like with Carabao Cup games and stuff like that. It's just
they're the ones, I think.
Yeah, just not necessary. If there are tactical times when you can not play them in a particular game, and then they have a week off. Just naturally, they have a week off. Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, and I just don't think it's necessary for Arteta to play them. But he's got a Premier League winners' medal now. Good luck.
I really hope now he has won that league. The FA Cup and the League Cup really don't matter so much anymore to him, and we can just go back to like the old Wenger days. Just play the kids, basically.
Yeah,
that's what you.
When it becomes important, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, when it becomes important, fine. But no,
that's why you sign like a Norgard, isn't it? Because he's played in the Premier League for however long he was there, and he's a professional. Like you can just bring him in to play those games. Like he can play them alongside Dowman and whoever else it might be in that team. Give them a chance. Some players haven't played a while. I hate when we get that third round League Cup match and you look at the team sheet, like Saka's on there. Like he should never be playing any League Cup game. Just bin that cup off. It doesn't matter. Like, even if we had won it this year and not won nothing else, that's not taken any pressure off Arteta, I don't think. In terms of winning trophies. No one, exactly. No one cares if we won the League Cup in the end. Obviously we went alongside the others, great, but I think hopefully going forward he can just rotate more because. So we'll do the whole Arteta thing next week maybe because
that's a whole episode. The injuries,
yeah.
Right?
But yeah, I think it's something that he really does need to get better at, hasn't it? Just when there is a chance to rest him, take that chance because there's not many in a season. So you've got to take them opportunities when you can.
Yep.
But well, let's look into actual England rather than just Arsenal players. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier, Fize, we didn't necessarily play our strongest team last week. I mean, what do you think is the strongest team? What the? To me, there's a couple of areas, but what do you think from that team last week? What the changes you'd make for our strongest team? Obviously, Saka is a given because but he's sort of carried an injury. But if we assume he was going to play there as the tournament goes on, what the other spots do you think?
Definitely the left wing. I don't care that he signed for Barcelona.
Yeah.
He should not.
That's one of mine
for England. Yeah, he cannot be starting there. And because we didn't bring Foden or Palmer, who are superior players to Gordon, regardless of a bad season, I think I'd like to see Eze there, or even I wouldn't go as far as Madueke. Because I just really think we set, I know everyone's going to start cutting on soon that I just don't have, I don't have much love for Nani. No. Bless him, it's not his fault. It kind of is his fault, but
we saw him on the left side, didn't we?
But I just think that, I think Eze on the left works for England. I've just got a feeling that if you play your best players, I think the only thing that England lack a little bit in the middle is a bit of creativity. So somehow you've got to try shoehorn him in. When Saka comes back in, yes, but Saka you'll find him in the same place every minute of the game. You'll be in the same place, top right hand corner of the pitch. And I just think you need a bit more fluidity sometimes. And I think that will free that having someone like Eze who can shift into central midfield, I think frees Bellingham a bit more to go ahead of Kane, because Kane's going to drop in, right? That's how he plays now. So just allowing Bellingham to go, or even Eze to cut in, kind of frees up. It can be freed up by a left hand side, But thinking about it, just anyone, but what's his name, Gordon, because he's
I'd see Rashford out there. I think he looks so much better.
About Rashford. Forget,
especially with Kane dropping deep. Absolutely. I think Rashford makes a bit more sense out there as well, doesn't he? Because he can fill in that sort of striker role as well.
Delete what I've just said. It should be Rashford. There you go. He's playing well as well.
Yeah, he's doing well.
I'd have him for Arsenal. Hot take.
Yeah.
I'd have him for Arsenal for a couple of years. Look at Nathan. Nathan's not having it. Nathan's not having it. I like
Rashford.
Yeah.
What Nate? Any other spots in the squad do you think are up for grabs still?
Weirdly, the Rashford thing I agree with for the England squad. I think, like you said, Dave, with Kane dropping deep, it's tailor-made for the likes of Saka and Rashford to cut in and provide the striker role for us. Someone in the box to finish it off, kind of thing. And I think you see it
quite often when Kane drops, don't you? That there's just no one there, and you need someone who's going to do that. And I don't think Gordon is that person, is he?
Well, how many times did we see it with Jesus? How many times did we get frustrated because Jesus kept dropping so far back to pick the ball up? It was like, well, you're not where we want you to be, and that's why we ended up signing Gyökeres and then changing the way that we played. But that's for a different pod. For England, yes, Rashford, I think, is the answer. Having seen Eze on the left wing this season, I never want to see him there ever again. I
honestly don't mind him. I think he needs to adapt a bit, but I think he needs to be playing with a proper fullback, though. I think he needs to be cutting in from the left, not like as a proper left winger.
He looked lost. He genuinely looked lost and just startled to be out there. So it just didn't work at all. But the other one for me, Gay, I'd have him as my starting centre back. I really like him. I really like him a lot. I think him and Konsa together at the back would be good. But I also think having Stones as the backup to come into a game to maybe settle it down, maybe just, if it's like a 1-0 or a 2-0 or a 2-1 or something like that, bringing someone with a level head like John Stones with the experience, you know, after a few legs are starting to go a little bit, just to come in and go, right, guys, let's just shut it down. Let's calm it down now. We see it out. Nothing stupid. You know, you bring that level of experience off the bench just to lock it in. I think it'd be better that way around. And I don't want to take Stones out because of his ability, because I still think he does a very good job. But I just think Gay and Konsa is as good as we can get. I don't think it's the strongest centre-back pairing at the World Cup, don't get me wrong. But when you talk about...
I think it's enough, though.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that. Exactly what you just said there. It's enough. And I think when you say start your best players, them two for me would be my starting centre-backs. Especially if it's going to run around only punching instead of catching the ball.
Yeah, I think if all things are equal, and that, you know, if he had played full season, I think Stones for me would potentially be in that pairing.
Yeah,
but it looks like a player who's barely played the season, and like that's not all his, you know, it's not all his own fault and all that, but he needs game time. You can see it in him, can't you? Like I think I love Stones as a player. Like, I always have.
Yeah, me
always
too.
Will. But he just looks like somebody who was just basically sat on the sidelines for most of the year, doesn't he? And it's
but then use that. Really. But then use that. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Having play that role, like I said, come in for that last 15, 20 minutes and just go, right, okay, lads, we lock it down.
Yeah.
So no one's putting Jed Spence in there, and they're starting.
Who's that?
No?
Oh right, yeah, no.
Yeah, I think the rest of the team sort of picks itself, doesn't it? I think left wing and centre back are the two.
Yeah.
Question marks, I guess, or you know, however you put it. Because as I say, Saka is what it is. You know, that's an injury related thing. He's not being dropped for. He's not on the bench for any other reason than that, is he? But yeah.
No, and in fairness, Noni did okay. He did his job. That's his job.
I thought he was our best player in the first half.
Yeah, right.
I thought he was.
I wouldn't argue with you.
And Anderson as well. Anderson had a good game overall, but I thought first half Madueke going forward was our bright spot.
It's so odd though, because Madueke played great for him, I think. But then you bring Saka on, and then straight away you just see the difference, don't you, out there? Like it's so hard because like, I think Madueke played well. It's not like he didn't play well, but yeah, you just bring Saka on. It's like, oh, okay,
it's levels.
Like we've got a proper player there now.
It's like you know, like if you take your child to football, like you just go like, he had a good game. Someone asks you, how did he play? How did he get on? He had a good game. But you've like, actually, in the game, compared to everybody else, wasn't the best. We've got stuff to work on. And I think we're like that with Madueke a little bit. We kind of give him this kind of, it's all right for Madueke. No, but mate, you're an elite footballer. You play for an elite football club. You're on elite wages. You are playing for an elite country when it comes to football. Like, at what point do we start being objective about you and not kind of like have a relative discussion? You know, in fact, I think I've just been harsh on my son. That's how rubbish he is recently, if I'm honest. Actually, I think my son's probably better than him. No, I mean, look, mate, it's the whole Chelsea thing, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, we spent 50 million English quid on him. Look.
I think he's a very hard player. He's so good at some things, but just so bad at others. It's such a hard player to sort of judge, because like, there's things he does, I think, that was like incredible. But like, there's not many other players that are able to do some of the things he can do. But then when it comes to just like crossing a ball or shooting, he's just so bad at it for someone who is like a professional footballer. I just don't understand. It's like he just gets there and then he just forgets what he's supposed to be doing. You know, it's just like gets that final third. It's like I just forgotten. Like, I think got no natural instinct in him. You know, like it's so weird.
I feel like Nathan's got an insight that we've missed here, Dave, because we're kind of double footing Noni at the moment. We're slandering him a little bit. Go on, Nathan.
I totally get what you guys are saying, but I think that I genuinely meant it. I thought he was our England's best player in the first half.
I do agree with you. Honestly, I think he played all right. I think he played well.
Yeah. I think as well, like, I think he's a great option off the bench. This is what I was saying when the team got picked and people were saying, like, oh my God, why is he going? And I was like, I kind of get that argument a little bit, but when he comes off the bench for Arsenal, and I agree with what you're saying, Davey, like he gets to the point where it matters and like his head just comes off and doesn't know what to do. And he's like, oh my God, I'm in a football stadium. When did this happen? You know, but in that...
Honestly, I feel like it is as well. Like,
but in the moment leading up to that, I think the energy that he brings and, you know, the way that he can go past the man, he does it quite easily, you know, in some games. You know, he just goes past like they're not there. So I think coming off the bench, like again, in that sort of 65, 70 minute zone where legs are starting to get a little bit tired, bringing someone like him on with energy, and he's going to start running at that fullback who's probably knackered. I think he's a great option off the bench.
I think that's got even more value in international football as well. Some of these defences aren't great. Some of the fullbacks out there aren't great.
And you look at the second half of the majority of these games so far, and teams are knackered. The one that I'll go back to is Brazil versus Morocco. The first half was brilliant. They were going toe to toe. They were backwards and forwards. The second half, they were done. Like both teams were like, shit, it's getting a bit difficult this now. It's like running through tar. You bring Madueke on in that scenario, he's going to have a field day. It's just whether or not he can switch his brain on when he gets to that vital
This is
moment.
This is what I mean, though, Nathan. Like, do you know what I mean? It's what is a field day for Madueke? Like, what is a field? What is the end product? What is the net result of a field day for Madueke? I'm afraid most of the time it's 0 goal and 0 assist.
Well, hopefully he can do what he did in the Champions League and just slam it from 30 yards instead of having to switch his brain. Or if he just goes, I'm just going to ping it and just bang it in top corner, that'll do.
It's either that or run out for a goal kick, isn't it? It's like one or the other with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe we just put someone next to him where all he has to do is almost just fall off the ball and someone can just pick it up behind him. Like on Sensible Soccer, where you can properly turn your player.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I just feel like we're in this territory, and considering we're champions of England, I just think we're in this territory with players where we're like, I don't want to have to figure you out. I don't want you to be a mystery or need another player to unlock you or a tactical reshuffle. You don't offer enough for me to have to do that for you, if you know what I mean.
It's like you said before, though. It's like you said before about signing £100 million player to come and sit on the bench. It's just not going to happen, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, there is a reality.
So that's when you fall into that trap of, right, we're going to have to sign someone based on potential, or you sign someone who has got a flaw, but you think you can cover it on the pitch with someone else. Yeah. That's when you start picking all bones out, isn't it?
Yeah, and for Arsenal, I get it, right? I get it. I still wouldn't have done it, but I get it that we bought someone, and you know what? We were not anticipating for Saka to miss that much of a season, so I get it.
Yeah.
But for England, I really am anti it because there's players there who are good footballers. Phil Foden is a good footballer, and he must be sitting there thinking, and he might have never done anything for England either. I don't think he has had a great England career at all. But there's loads of good English footballers that have not had that career, and I just think, and that's not to pick a City player over an Arsenal player or anything like that at all, which I would never do in normal circumstances. I just think at some point there has to, all right. So we get on Martinelli's back, right? And we say Martinelli, he goes there, he loses confidence, he doesn't know what he's doing, whatever. And it's a similar argument to what we do with Madueke. Martinelli will end up on 10 goals for the season, and that's a bad season for Martinelli. I just, I really don't know what Madueke offers. What is the point in penetration stats and running? You said it yourself, Nathan, a couple of weeks ago perfectly. There's an eye test. There's an eye test with football sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think Madueke, God bless him, and I'm happy that he makes his money that he does. I don't begrudge him any of that at all. And he's a Premier League champion, no less. But I just think he fails the eye test. There's got to be something in it, man. We've had players like that before, and I just think that we never kidded ourselves into thinking that Gervinho was a world beater. He reminds me of Gervinho.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I think with Madueke, we're kind of doing that thing where and a lot of lads do it. We're almost enticing a player that we can't see to come out from him. It's not going to happen, mate.
He's very likable as well, isn't he? Again, I think he's another one of them players you want him to be good. I think
he's one of God's soldiers. He's one of the Bible club, isn't he, over there? And that's nice. And I like that kind of stuff. But you want him to do well. And I like the camaraderie and stuff. And I like it. And I'm just like, yeah, but what, lads? What's happening? Where is it? How do we cut to the chase? What is it? And that's my thing. He was, going back to England, he was England's best player in the first half, no doubt about it. And I think that's why Tuchel's got him. I think you're right, Nathan. I think that's why Tuchel's got him. Tuchel's got him because He can run with the ball. He can take pressure off teams. And I think these kind of granular things are measurables now, aren't they, in football? And
I heard some. Go on. No,
I was just making that point. These granular things are really important in football now. That he carries the ball a certain amount of distance every game, and he engages in take-ons and things like that. Right?
He's an advanced stats player, isn't he? That is what he is. So. It's all about advanced stats that just wouldn't have been a thing 20 years ago, really.
Like American sports, you have special players for special plays, don't you?
Yeah.
And if you don't engage in that play, he doesn't get any game time. And I think Madueke is one of those players, and I think that's what Tuchel likes about him. And I think that's probably what Arteta likes about him. But I don't know, lads.
Someone said in the studio about Tuchel's picked his squad for Tuchel's system. And I'd not thought about that when the squad came out. We were all like, God, why has he picked why has he left such a buddy out?
Yeah.
He's picked players for this system.
The Spencer's one as well.
Yeah, the reason why Foden and Palmer haven't gone is because he doesn't play with an attacking midfielder. He plays with wingers, and the players that he's picked would fit into that role specifically, rather than being shoehorned in. Don't get me wrong, I still think Palmer.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah,
I think Foden and Palmer would do a very, very good job out there. Don't get me wrong, I still think they bring value to the squad, but they're not classed as those positioned players. It's a bit like we talk about it every now and then. It's a bit like on Football Manager, where you can put a player in that position who, statistics-wise, attribute-wise, in the Football Manager world, has the best attributes. But if you put someone in who's got decent attributes, but he's a specialist in that position, he will always outperform the guy with the attributes. And I think that's what Tuchel's looking at.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point, mate. I think he's done that, which is why probably, Lewis Hall didn't get in over Spence. And
because that's a call I would have made as well, by the way. Lewis Hall. I love Lewis Hall. I think he's had a phenomenal season. That would have been a pick of mine. But then you start looking into Tuchel and his system, and it's like, shit, he's picked a team for his system. I get it. I actually get where he's. I might not agree with it. But I certainly see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's get some predictions for what'll be tonight when this comes out. England, Ghana. Fize, what do you think's happening?
What, when England play Ghana?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll beat them.
Should be comfortable, shouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I'd imagine we'll beat them. I think Ghana have pedigree, undoubted pedigree. Tough prospect as well. Even Ivory Coast the other day looked really good as well. And I was thinking, well, maybe we've kind of underestimated the African team, or especially the West African teams, a little bit. What they do produce are just really, really athletic players. And I think, in modern day football, maybe not so much before, but modern day football, if you've just got a team of athletes who stick to a tactical plan, it's very, very hard. Cape Verde are showing it. All these other teams are showing it. If you've just got athletic lads who stick to a tactical system, you can get a tune out of them. So it's going to be tough. I don't think there'll be many goals in it, but I'd expect England to get through it. I really hope by resting some of our players, but yeah, I think we'll do Ghana.
Same for you, Nath?
3-1 to England.
Yeah, I think that's gone on I was thinking as well.
Dave, 3-1?
Okay. I think that might cause us a few problems here and there, but I think we should. It's the sort of game you have to take care of, isn't it, really? Because if we win this, I assume we've won the group and then can just rotate fully in the third game.
Yeah, I think Semenyo scores. I think Semenyo scores against us. I think we look a bit frail defensively. I don't see us keeping clean sheets, and Pickford's just having one of his moments. But yeah, I think we go 2 up. Semenyo gets one back, and we'll get one later on. After the 80th minute, we'll get one on the break.
I'm gonna say an Arsenal. I'm gonna say an Arsenal style match of attrition between two teams. Grind out. Jude Bellingham 1-0. We win 1.
A real Southgate England game.
Yep. And I think we'll be under the cosh for ages, and I just don't think Ghana will score. I saw them play the other day. I forget who it was against now. and it was just 80 minutes of just
Panama would have been, wasn't it? Was it Panama?
Yeah,
Panama, Paraguay, Panama. Well, right. It was just turgid.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they're not great, but
they'll put in a shift. They'll put in a shift, and I'm pretty sure that we've got a tough game. But anyway, 1-0. So let's have
a look. Let's have a look a bit wider at the tournament. Then there's been so many high-scoring games that I just don't ever remember happening at World Cups like this. There's been 5-1, 4-1,
7-0,
4-0. Yeah, 7-0. There's been so many high-scoring games. Is that just? Do you think that's just because there is the weaker nations? Because I mean, some of the teams on the receiving end of these haven't been teams that we'd think of as those weaker nations as well. There's been some hammerings on teams that we'd think of as, sort of traditional World Cup teams, I guess. Is that what it is? Go on, Steve.
So someone made that point that you were saying, is it because of the smaller nations in the tournament? That comment was made not long after Netherlands had beaten Sweden 5-1.
Yeah.
I was like, pick your moments, guys. If you just said it after Germany won 7-0, then fair enough.
Yeah.
But you just, it's come after Netherlands and Sweden. I was like, right. So clearly, this is a person.
I mean, in fairness, Sweden did just scrape in, didn't they? They didn't qualify comfortably.
Yeah, no, I get that, but we wouldn't class them as one of the nations, would it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just wouldn't, But
they've got £200 million strike force.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing was, it was like, this has obviously come from someone who doesn't agree with 48 teams in the tournament and doesn't agree that these small nations should have a chance. Yep. And then they've just plucked this out of thin air on the back of the worst. If they'd have picked that Germany game where they won 7-0, that would have, gone hand in hand with the point that they were trying to make. It's just the fact that they picked that game, and I was like, just have a think about it, lads. Just have a sit down before you get on your keyboard warrior statuses, and just have a think about what you're saying and when you're saying it. But you know what? I'm all for it. Yeah, of course I want to see a 5-1. Of course I want to see a 7-0. I've just watched my team win the league for the first time in 22 years on football that I can't stand.
Averaging 1.1 goals a game or something.
Absolutely, yeah. Please put 5 and 6 goals past. Go for it. I'm all for it.
Well, I do wonder if it is part of the change of the system where goal difference isn't really a thing anymore. It's all about head-to-head. You get 2-3-0 down. The team just give up a little bit. You don't... it doesn't matter if you lose 5-1, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's not going to make a great deal of difference in the end. If Sweden Netherlands are going to win the group, it's not going to come into play for the tiebreaker situation in the end. I do wonder if it is something to do that, but
it's definitely a thought process, isn't it? It's definitely you could link it, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's been entertaining though, hasn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
Defo. I think Joe Hart was mentioning something about the ball being a bit different, behaving a bit differently. So a few of these long shots are flying in, and he seems to blame the ball.
I thought it's always been a thing at the World Cups, isn't it? They always like the balls like
the ball always gets some sort of footage, doesn't it? It always gets highlighted, and
it's always goalkeepers.
Yeah,
there was. To be fair though, was it Cape Verde who drew 2-2 against Uruguay? Was that that was Cape Verde, wasn't it?
Cape Verde, yeah.
Their first goal was a free kick from 30, 35 yards out. And look, I'm watching it on TV, so I might get this very wrong, but it looked like it didn't hit it fantastically hard. And from that distance, I thought, should the keeper be getting to that? I don't know, but maybe just going, maybe it was something to do with the ball. I don't know, but I just looked at it and thought, that looks a bit weak to me. I mean, it was a stunning goal just because of the distance. Don't get me wrong, but it was low. It wasn't right slap bang in the corner. I just thought, why is he not getting to that? I don't know. But
so Joe Hart mentioned that that it's deviating late, which is why you're seeing a lot of keepers getting close to it, and then it's deviating when they've planned their dive and their hand to get out to it. They're missing. They're touching it, and it's just missing it because they're not being able to get their timing right when they're jumping. It was a really good little piece, but he had me slightly convinced. I was thinking, okay, that's relevant because a lot of the lads are getting near shots, but like the one Messi scored against Zidane's son, when he looked like he just dived all around it, and everyone just went, Zidane's son's rubbish. And then there was the one that was it not what was the other one? Mbappe scored from distance. that's Edouard Mendy. He's quite good. And he kind of dived around it and kind of touched it, but it just still went in. And he was talking, and then he was highlighting the way the ball, when it sets off, that's when the goalkeeper goes. And he was saying because of the late movement, it was just moving away from keepers at the last second. And then I'm sure Pickford will benefit from that explanation. That explains all the goals he's been letting in recently. But yeah, that's what seems to be a theory at the moment. But as you said, it is part of World Cup folklore.
I'd much rather see that and see if it means more goals and stuff, because I don't think anyone wants to watch football and see 0-0. I'm sure there's someone out there that loves that style of football, and I'm sure it's got its place somewhere. But most football fans would like to see attacking football and goal scoring, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had a bit of a rough night on Saturday. I just couldn't sleep for whatever reason, so I ended up watching the Ecuador versus, I can't even remember who they were playing. I think it was one of the smaller nations again. It might have been Curacao.
Okay.
Ecuador versus Curacao, and that was 0-0. And I was like that was a rough watch. That was a rough watch. But yeah, as for the rest of it, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a lot of good stuff. Let's have a quick look at the Arsenal players that have played then before we wrap up for this week. We had France beating Senegal. Obviously, Saliba played in that. Netherlands battering Sweden, as we've already mentioned. Gyökeres in that. Havertz played in the Germany comeback against Ivory Coast and that winning 2-1. Brazil, Haiti. I'll be honest, I didn't watch that game, but I assume Gabriel played, did he?
He did, yeah.
I wouldn't go back and watch the highlights of that one, to be honest. I saw the goals, but that's about it. And then obviously Spain, Saudi Arabia. Has there been any standout Arsenal players in those games for you?
No, I'm not going to lie. We've not been looking particularly brilliant. No. Not saying we've been bad, just not really seen anything particularly good.
I think a lot of them games there are a bit sort of big team playing small team, nothing a game, aren't they? There's a few of those in that group of games there.
There's a bit of that, yeah. I mean,
like Gabriel's never going to stand out against Haiti, really, is he?
No.
It's going to be hard for him to ever get much of a...
So no win situation for Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Martinelli did well when he came on against Haiti. Again, levels and what have you. But yeah, he played well. But a lot of people were saying that it's because he was allowed to. Whereas under Arteta, we've had this conversation where he's covering the fullback most of the time, whereas in a Brazil shirt, obviously they don't do that. So he apparently looked a lot better. So that was interesting. That was the interesting one that I picked up this week, was that Martinelli played well. Saliba did okay against Senegal. Was quite solid with Upamecano, who surprised me. He was very good, especially in the first half. He had a really good game.
I'm really not a fan of his.
I'm not either. I'm not. I don't rate him at all, but he played really, really well. But yeah, other than that, from an Arsenal perspective, nothing like mind blowing. Gyökeres, despite losing 5-1,
I thought he played pretty well.
He
did some stuff I haven't really seen him doing an Arsenal shirt. It was quite interesting.
I think the shouting on Twitter was like, "Don't sign a left winger, just put Gyökeres out there and sign a striker," because he kept cutting in and trying to bend his shots in. So probably wouldn't be the route that I go down, but an option, if things started to get really silly.
What about you, Fize? Anyone stood out for you from an Arsenal perspective? Could be bad as well.
Yeah, no, I've done that already, mate. I thought Gyökeres, his touch was really good.
Yeah, it was really weird, wasn't it?
He was linking up. The touch was true. It went to the player it was supposed to, and into space. I just thought it was clean. They got hammered, but he was clean.
It wasn't his fault that they lost because they did 5, was it? He played all right.
No, Havertz done what Havertz does. He has a really good game, then a really average game. So that was his one. I just the Brazilians unfortunately are on a hiding to nothing, aren't they? They just, if they beat someone, they're like, oh well, it's Brazil, isn't it? You're supposed to beat them, and if they can only get negative feedback from their performances. But Martinelli is an interesting one. I'm sure we'll talk about him throughout the rest of his Arsenal career. That maybe he should play up front. I don't know, but Martinelli did what he does, which is he was positive, took people on, took a shot, hit the crossbar. So yeah, there isn't much to report, to be honest, gents, about what Arsenal players did. Apart from the England
I think there'll be
stuff,
more as this tournament goes on, won't there? When the games matter a little bit more, because that is one thing of the 48 team thing. These games don't matter a lot of them, do they? They're a bit they're a bit nothing.
One thing I will bring up, lads. Sorry to jump in there. One thing I did just popped into my mind that I did notice, and I wanted to bring it up. Martin Odegaard. I saw Martin Odegaard play for Norway, and
I forgot Odegaard. I've left him off my list.
So did I. Just literally until this moment, which is why I had to get it in quickly.
Already thinking he's not going to be an Arsenal player.
That's I don't know, man. I think us three have kind of gone to town on that a few times, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows? But what was interesting about Martin Odegaard is that I saw Martin Odegaard play exactly the same as he plays for Arsenal, which was not the Odegaard we'd like back in our team again. And I kind of half convinced myself that we might see the Odegaard that we like seeing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's under
I think
much
we have
less
with some of the
pressure.
other players. I think some of these other players have been a bit freer, haven't they? Looked a little bit more what you'd want them to.
They play different, right? Or they've just been more free in whatever tactical system they're in. And he's going to get picked for Norway, whatever happens, right? He's the captain, whatever. And he played the same way, which was kind of within himself a little bit. And I just thought to myself, I don't think it is Arteta. And I'm coming round to the thought that even Martinelli is not Arteta anymore. I just think it's the players. They've just become these players now through whatever reason. One game for Norway isn't much of a sample, and he might have an amazing game the next one. But I just think I really wanted to. I made a point to see if he played for Norway as he has been recently for Arsenal, and he did. And I was a bit disappointed by that. So, come on, Odegaard, man. Get it together. We want you back in the team, captain of the team again.
We definitely do. Nath, you got any players, outside of the Arsenal bubble that have stood out to you over the last week since we last recorded?
What's his name? German striker, Undav.
Oh yeah, Mr. Clutch.
Undav?
Yeah,
I don't know now.
Yeah, Undav. Yeah,
you got me doubting myself now.
I'm sure it's Undav. Dennis Undav or something like that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, what a player he is coming off the bench. Like having a hell of a tournament. To be fair to him, so yeah, he's been standing out. I really liked Jan Diomande. I think Liverpool look like they're in pole position to sign him from Leipzig.
Yeah,
I'd be very excited if I was a Liverpool fan. He looked very good against Germany, very, very good. So yeah, he was doing well.
And they rejected like 100 mil for him though, or something already, haven't they?
Yeah, it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be just off topic for a second. It's going to be one of them transfer markets in that you can see it coming down. No, it's not a selling market this summer, is it? So it'll be interesting to see some of the values. But yeah, he looked very good. I think we've got to give a shout out to the Cape Verde goalkeeper. He was the one who got the record, 15 saves in a game, and they ended up drawing the game. I think it was 0-0. I can't remember. I feel really bad.
Curacao?
Could have been Curacao. Yeah, it might have been. But yeah,
they've all got really good goalkeepers.
Yes, the goalkeepers have been stealing the show, haven't they? A little bit.
Even the Saudi one made 9 saves in a match, right?
Sometimes these weaker nations can be the thing that shows them up a bit of goalkeepers. I think sometimes they'll come and that'll be the bit. They've got a few players, but keepers can let them down a bit. But yeah, a lot of these teams that you'd think of as weaker have.
Definitely. I think for anyone else. I mean, look, it's such an easy one to say, but you can't not say it. Messi.
Yeah.
Argentina have
5
scored
goals
5.
already.
Argentina have scored 5 goals, and Messi scored every single one of them. It's just the second one that he scored tonight. It was a bit. Excuse the pun. It was a bit messy, but he basically ended up assisting himself with the way the move happened. So Argentina were on the break. He was coming down the right hand side, and he picked Alvarez out with a hell of just a lovely. It's one of them where it should be a simple pass, and 80% of players hit the defender. It should be just a simple, we're all screaming at the telly like he's wide open. All you've got to do is beat one man and they pass it to the defender every time. And he just made it look like the defender was never in a million years going to touch that ball. Straight to Alvarez, didn't have to break his stride. Alvarez somehow just didn't score, took one too many touches. Messi's come back in and done sort of like a 1-2 off the defender and then butted it, belted it into the bottom corner. I was just like, come on, mate, you're a joke. Like 38 years old, 39 in a couple of days, and just completely running the World Cup for Argentina. Just a madness, an absolute madness. I love him. I absolutely love him.
Wait,
He's
guys,
sensational.
anyone stood out for you?
Well, yeah, I like just a moment for Messi really is sensational. Even at his age now, to carry the team the way he does. Ronaldo's absolutely fuming about that, because he probably in his own head believes that there's some kind of rivalry there. I'm sure Nike have convinced him, because I'm sure Ronaldo looks at things like how many people follow him on Twitter compared to Messi and thinks, okay, well, we're comparable, aren't we? But as footballers, I'm afraid there isn't a comparison. I genuinely didn't think we'd ever see a player more gifted than Ronaldinho. I didn't think we'd ever see a player more, gifted in like a goal-scoring way than, Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo. And I've often brought up Henry in those discussions as well. But to have somebody who universally, I mean, all those players that I've just mentioned and other players that I haven't, universally agree that this guy's just the best player that's ever played football. They talk about him how we talk about them. And the gap between him and the rest of the football fraternities is sensational. So to do it consistently at that level, I mean, he's playing in America now, so he's not even really playing elite football, So fair play to him.
Can't take a penalty though.
I don't think he cares. I think the difference. Yeah, I think the difference.
It's just mad though, isn't it? Like how good he is, and then just penalties. Just for some reason,
I think the whole I think the whole stutter run up thing is a good tell for a goalkeeper. I think if you stutter in your run up, you've given a goalkeeper a chance to set, haven't you? You think you're sending the goalkeeper. Where's he going? He's only going to go left or right.
There's a few players that are incredible at it, isn't there? And then there's just everyone else needs to stop it. I think. Look at Kane last week. Right. That stuttered run up. I've never seen him do that before.
Never. As soon as he did it, what are you doing?
There's no. I think he's such a good penalty taker when it comes to just putting his foot through it. Just hit them unstoppable shots. Yeah, it's
exactly right.
So it's awful.
So Messi's been sensational. One player I did like. I was watching the Ivory Coast game, and I'll come on to Diamandi. I watched the Ivory Coast game. They had a little guy in midfield called Christ, and I thought he was really good. And he was dancing through tackles, and he was solid. He was jumping in. He was everything, and I was really impressed. And I thought, for me, he was the standout player. I think Diamandi. I watched him against Ecuador, and he did tear Hincapié a new one, unfortunately. So that was that. But I'm not sure about Diamandi, I don't think it's cut and dry. I saw Luis Diaz play, and I thought Luis Diaz is better than Diamandi. And I think it's a typical Liverpool signing from last year. They're taking, and he looks good in fits and bursts, and I just think Liverpool are taking a massive gamble again, £100 million plus. And I'm not sure there's much about him that isn't Nicolas Pepe, who we'll all remember fondly. And I don't think it always translates. I think these leagues are inferior to the Premier League, at least on a physical output level. And I just think we give too much credence to oh my God, look, we've just seen him and he looks amazing. And don't get me wrong, he has looked good. I just don't think I don't think he's the finished article. And they're going to end up paying another 20 million. If we end up with Boadi, we'll pay another 20 million because he's having a good World Cup. So
I think he's a player that I'd like to take a chance on, but 100 million plus, it shouldn't be a player you're taking a chance on, really, should it? That should be the real deal. And I'm with you, Fize. I'm not 100% sold on him, but
they're definitely spending a lot of money on potential, aren't they? But what I would say is the potential is definitely there.
Yeah, I do agree.
It's like your man. What was his name? Who's the other striker they bought? Ekatike. It's like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that they're not replacing. Still, again, they're not replacing like for like. If they played Salah a whole season next year, he'd get them 20 goals. 100%, he'd get them 20 goals. Yeah, now he fell out with Slot last year, but I just think I don't know, man. I think you're bringing in a youngster, £100 million plus, and I'm just not convinced he's going to do what Salah did for so many years. And secondly, so did Luis Diaz. And I just think that amount of output, I can't see it. I can't see it. But could be wrong. I'm sure Liverpool fans will enjoy that comment.
Yeah, again, another set of fans that aren't sensitive at all. So
no,
yeah, they'll be fine with that. Right, that wraps us up for this week, I think. One quick thing before we go, we are doing a giveaway. The Arsenal away shirt. I'm reliably informed that it will be out before this closing date, but if something changes, I'll just order it for when it comes in for you. But yeah, loads of ways to enter. The more you do, the more entries you get. Go on, any of our social media, you'll find it there. But basically, subscribe, like any of our pages, and you'll get an entry. But yeah, one person's going to win this shirt, and we'll draw it live on this podcast in a few weeks' time. So yeah, make sure you get involved with that. Subscribe everywhere you can. Do all the usual stuff. Give us reviews. All of that stuff. You've all listened to podcasts before. You know what you got to do. Yeah, make sure you go do it. We're at Clock End Taproom everywhere. Clock End Taproom. Search that and it will come up. But yeah, that rounds up for this week. Oh, don't want just me. How have I done that? Definitely don't want just me there. Oh, nailed that. Yeah. So yeah, do all that stuff. But yeah, thanks for joining me again, you two. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
And we will see you on Thursday when we take a look at the Arsenal defence and goalkeepers. And I think we're going to look at some of our favourite Arsenal players from over the last 20 years or so, aren't we? So, yeah, join us for that. Should be a lot of fun. And we'll see you then.
Cheers.